Lynn Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hello, welcome. He's done it again. Potter has... I'm going to include you in this, so it's not just me being stood up. Potter has stood us up. He's got us. Is it the city guide that is being put together? And I guess this is a huge and probably major headache-inducing ordeal that goes on for weeks. And he is the guy at the top, I guess, is responsible in the end. The buck stops there on his desk. And if I ever show you a picture of his desk, you will understand.
He cleaned it.
Huh?
Cleaned it.
He cleaned his desk?
Yeah, there's like nothing there.
There's nothing? I took a picture.
Yeah.
Potter's desk is the most... I mean, I know people say, oh, my desk is a mess. Yeah, fine. And I know I'm prone to exaggeration, so maybe I'm not real credible here, but Jess might...
Oh, God,
Yeah, Jess is going to agree with me. You have never seen a desk like Potter's. And it wasn't just the surface of the desk, which was like, I don't know, maybe about a foot high with papers and books. And it wasn't like there was even even an effort to make like maybe a stack of something. It was absolute chaos. And it went down to the floor. So the floor all around his desk was also just covered in paper and newspaper and books and things. And it got off into the common space and over to the window. And when you looked, the first time I saw it, I was literally dumbstruck. And I said, how can you even function? How can you function? How would you know where anything is? And I don't know that he gave me an answer. But this news that he cleaned it up, I wonder what happened. Did somebody say something? Oh, my God. Well, I'll have to get to the bottom of it. That will not stand. There is no way that man could function in a clean desk. Anybody who needs the chaos that was there for years, I don't think can do that kind of a quick turnaround. Anyway, we will do without him again this Wednesday. And he promises, I think he promised, that he would return next Wednesday. We will be joined in about a half hour's time with someone from the city paper. And that would be Bill O'Driscoll, because I want him to give us more on his piece in the paper that came out today. City paper as two lesbians kissing on the cover. The inside, though, Bill O'Driscoll has a story on electric choice. You know how you get letters and robocalls and all this kind of stuff from people saying, are you getting the cheapest you can get? You don't have to leave your if Duquesne Light is the one who's supplying your electricity, they'll still do that, but you can this and that. And it's so, I don't know. It seems so bizarre and confusing to me. And now, as O'Driscoll points out in this piece, the number of other possible companies that will be giving you electricity, even though Duquesne Light will still be sending you the bill. And don't ask me to explain any of this because I've never understood it. He's going to try to explain this. If you're anything like me, you don't quite get it, and you don't know where to go to do any kind of quick assessment of. I don't want to spend a week, fiddling around looking at this, that, I can't imagine anything. I blindly, I have to admit, a few years ago said okay to one of these people and said, okay, I'll get ready, and you fill in a thing and send it away, and nothing really seems to change. I don't have a clue. I don't know who I'm giving my money to as opposed to who I used to give it to. I don't understand any of it, but he will try to get it through my thick skull. If he can get it through my thick skull today, then I would assume he will then get it through yours as well, because it's subjects like these that I really, really have an incredible, difficult time comprehending. Okay. So, what we got? Locally, the mayor's ex-bodyguard, this Fred Crawford, spent over 2 hours in front of the grand jury yesterday. Crawford's attorney has said, even though he's not allowed to be in there, he has said it sure looks like they're targeting the mayor. Yeah, it does. Sure looks like they're targeting the mayor. We have a call. Mm-hmm. Hello.
Hello, Lynn.
Yes, sir.
I got a question. I know you're the person who will answer this.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay.
Is our government still in sequester?
Yes.
Is this our permanent state now?
Well, it is until the jerks in the House of Representatives see fit to negotiate something. And
are they meeting this week and trying to get this thing solved? Or?
No.
So there's no urgency about trying to get this thing resolved then?
No, you recall there was one little flurry of urgency. It was about a month or 6 weeks ago when the sequester, the result of the sequester meant that there were fewer TSA agents or something.
Yeah. And wasn't it something about the air traffic controllers?
Yeah, air traffic. Whatever, it sort of screwed up some of their flights, the congressman's flights, and all hell broke loose, and that was immediately taken care of. However, meanwhile, food is not getting to homebound seniors and disabled people who rely on food being delivered to them. Little children are seeing their preschools and Head Start programs going. All kinds of stuff is happening, but it's happening to the people who always are getting screwed, and no one listens to them.
So there's no urgency about trying to get this resolved?
No. And you'll recall that the reason they agreed on this absurd thing, okay, well, here's what we'll do. We can't reach agreement right now. So what we'll do is we'll create this horrible thing called a sequester that if we don't reach agreement, will start. And it will take tons of money away from the military, which the Republicans won't be able to tolerate. And it'll take tons of money away from social programs, which Democrats won't be able to tolerate. And so we won't let that happen. Ha! They let it happen. And now they're, because it doesn't happen like bang, it just slowly, you have governors and mayors screaming, hey, we were promised certain funds for this or for that, so this thing is on hold, that thing is on hold. Nothing, apparently, has risen to the level where the people are willing to, I guess, scream loudly.
Well, because I think most people's lives aren't negatively affected by it.
Not enough. Not enough. And the people who are affected, as I said, are the disaffected and the disenfranchised and the poor and the young and people who are not part of the political equation, that have no power, that have no champion arguing for them. If it hurts the well-to-do, if it hurts the Congress, if it hurts corporations, then things get done fast.
Yeah, but we all should be ashamed because we have government that's not working.
Not at all.
I mean, this should be, they're saying, well, we can't figure this out, and there's no urgency to figure this out, so let's just let it continue the way it is.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
It is.
And that, this is one of the reasons why, you poll Americans and say, what are your feelings about the Congress? And 9 out of 10 say, off with their heads. Idiots.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So it's really appalling. I run out of words. It's appalling. And they should be so ashamed. And they're not.
Well, if it was business and it's such an important thing could not be resolved, people would be fired.
Well, these people should be fired, but
they should be.
But I was saying yesterday, we're the ones who fire them, the people.
Yeah, but most of them will be reelected.
Yeah, and the ones that are really the obfuscators, the ones that are absolutely, I don't think that was the right word, the people who are really standing in the way are members of the House who have to stand for re-election every 2 years. So they're coming up all the time. And you know the old story. Everybody hates the members of Congress except their member of Congress.
That's true.
So there you go.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Bye. Is the sequester still going? Yeah, it's going on. Unbelievable. We have received an email from Chris Potter's better half. His beautiful wife, Mel, who says, I am also dumbstruck. I look at that desk and wonder how I, little Miss Neat Freak, married the guy who sits there. And then she tells us he cleans it every few months. No, Mel.
Once a year, maybe.
Or years. And then she adds, every few years. I think it's years. Every few years. And then, ... So she's saying what I'm saying. He can't exist with that. So what he must do is because there's no way he would know what any of that stuff is and couldn't find it if he wanted to. So I guess at one point he just must sweep it all off into a garbage bag and start over. I mean, I can't imagine he went through that impossible to define disaster area, looking at each page. Oh, well, maybe, okay, we'll file that here, and no, we'll file that there. No! Well, I'll tell you how, if you're a little Miss Neat Freak, you married him, that's what happens. That's how he, despite the fact that he, of course, was drawn to you for many reasons, he saw in you somebody who might be able to, because of your neat freak-ishness, be able to somehow lend some measure of organization to his anarchistic existence. And he probably was right? Now, on the other hand, how you deal with living with somebody like that, since you're also living with a 2-year-old who's probably not inclined to clean up after himself, God, Mel, I don't know. Mel says, imagine our struggles over the state of the dining room table. No. Of course, my dining room table is like that. My house isn't that big. It's not like I have a study. I don't have a place for a desk. And so my dining room table is it's where I eat. It's where I work. It's where I pay my bills. If I'm doing written things, it's where I write letters or do projects. That table. And so it's never clear. I even have people over for dinner, and I'll clear off one end and get them all around that end, and at the other end there's piles. But that's just me. I'm not as bad as your husband. God. Jeez. Okay, what we got here? You know, I'm so upset I missed the boat on this thing. Have I talked at all about the yarn bombing?
I don't think so.
I haven't. I didn't know anything about it until, I think, 2 weeks ago. And in my doctor's office, I saw a little postcardy thing. It was a stack of them. And it said something about, like, knit the bridge. And, right? And I said, ooh, I picked one up. And I thought, oh my gosh, I want to do this. I want to help. I can't knit worth a damn, but I could knit, squares. I could knit a big, long thing that could be part of something to put on the bridge. So I thought, oh wow, something for my idle hands to do. And I got all excited and I went to the website. And the day I went to the website was the deadline day for turning in your knitting. But if you haven't heard about it, they are going to cover is it the Roberto Clemente Bridge or the next one over? I think it's the next one over. It's the Warhol Bridge. They're going to cover totally the Andy Warhol Bridge, that whole expanse with all its supports and all that stuff, totally in knitted yarn. I mean, all kinds of colors, all kinds of designs. And this kind of thing yarn bombing has been going on all over the world. You've seen pictures of yarn bomb trees and yarn bomb cars and all of that, and it's always a riot to look at. It's fascinating. But no one apparently has ever attempted to yarn bomb anything this huge. Some bridges have been done, but no bridge this large. So when they pull this off, and they're going to pull it off soon, it will be put up. It's supposed to be up from August 10th to September 7th. And once it's up, that picture will make its way all around the world. And is that going to be like, maybe it'll coincide with the same time that, 7,000-pound rubber ducky is floating through? We'll be like living in fantasy land. Oh, my God. But what fun. I understand the knitting part, but the engineering part freaks me out. Like, who figures out what exactly they need and what the dimensions are, and then once that's done, how do they install it? Yay. It'll be something. Melanie has written back. What's a little mess with all that wit and charm? Yeah, right. Indeed. But I'll tell you, Mel, us talking about him here is what he gets, as far as I'm concerned, for standing me up for the second week in a row. You know how much I look forward to having him here? And I know the audience does as well. He's breaking out. Oh, God. Oh, God. Okay, so anyway. I just want to tell the Knit the Bridge folks, if you still need a little section somewhere, I can do it. I can do it. I would love to have part of my work on there. Man. Okay, so what it appears in terms of the mayor and the grand jury is that it appears that he told his bodyguards, because they worked a lot of overtime being his bodyguard, and as Fred Crawford has said, the ex-bodyguard, a lot of that overtime was essentially babysitting our boy mayor. It was getting him to various bars and then taking the drunken boy mayor home. And that would often be in the wee hours of the morning. And this was not on, obviously, their regular shift, so that was good overtime for them. And then it appears that in 2007, the mayor's bodyguards were told to stop putting on their time cards the exact start and end of their shifts. And that happened after, I guess, somebody noted, one would hope it's the person who's supposed to be noting such things, that the bill for the mayor's security detail had reached $250,000. And it was mostly because of overtime created by bodyguard shifts that generally went to around 2 a.m. So, you know, I mean, on the one hand, is that a crime? I mean, it's a crime, I guess, to alter your... It's not a... Is it a crime for a mayor to use a security detail in that manner? I doubt it's a crime, especially a federal crime, but I suspect that it would not be considered by the taxpayers a good use of their hard-earned money. I don't know. So has anybody seen the latest UPMC ad? Have you seen that thing with that doctor? It essentially says, hey, let me tell you something. If we, us, the wonderful UPMC, where your children have been born, where your loved ones have died, where your friends have been cured, we who have been there for you for so long. You know, if Highmark gets this agreement it wants with us, well, that's just not going to be there anymore, guys. We'll probably have to close Shady Side Hospital. We'll probably have to close, I forget what other hospital he said. He's showing us hospitals on this little thing and saying, and then it ends, of course, with that lovely female voice that says something like, UPMC. What does it say? Choose a hospital like your life depends on it. Isn't that what they say? Like your life depends on it. Now that has an extremely sinister tone. And it's almost as if, hey, get on board with us or die. Hello?
Hey, Lynn.
Yes.
George from Moan.
Hi, George.
I'm glad you brought up UPMC.
Have you seen that latest ad with that doctor?
No, I haven't seen that one, but there is another one.
Yeah, what's that one?
That one is beating their chest about all the charitable work they're doing.
Oh, please. Okay.
They're in full tilt on that. Did you hear the story in NPR this morning about what they're doing in Harrisburg?
It was on NPR? What are they doing? Oh, you mean local NPR-ish. What are they doing in Harrisburg?
This is the grand gesture to get their way. They have before the state legislature a bill to change the Constitution of Pennsylvania that allows the legislature to completely define nonprofits in the state of Pennsylvania. Right now, the state legislature is limited, and as to saying what a nonprofit is which is good for the nonprofits. So what they want to do is have it completely removed, so the state legislature can decide that their buddies are nonprofits, and it's supposed to go through 2 sessions of the legislature before it's enacted. Now, I also heard something about, and I don't understand it, that it might go towards a public referendum.
No. If it's a amendment to the Constitution, yes, it's
okay. So maybe that's the process.
Got to be passed by 2 legislative sessions, then goes to the voters. It's a long haul.
Right, but do you see what they're after? I mean, these people have no reticence to get what they want and go out there and completely rig the system for their own profits.
And they also, they don't care about being popular, do they? People hate them. I mean, they just hate. We go. I mean, although I have a number of tests I have to do today, medical tests, I go and I try to go every chance I get. I do all that stuff at Allegheny General. I go out of my way not to pay UPMC a penny. I so despise them. On the other hand, I've ended up in an emergency room here and there because it's close to my house. I've gotten okay care, and I don't... the fact of the matter is they act as though AGH or West Penn is like hospitals for people who can't afford the best. You know what I mean? That's bull.
Oh, yeah.
This is absolute bull.
Their business plan is absolutely a business plan. This is not charitable. This is not even public health.
No, it's
They compete in the medical industry to cut the throat of the competition.
That's right.
To gain the market value.
Right. And now this latest ad, you got to see it. It's some doctor, some chief doctor, and he's flat out saying it's a threat. He's flat out saying, "Hey, if you don't back us, guys, Shadyside Hospital, gone. Mercy, gone. These hospitals are gone, and we will lay off tens of thousands of people. We will not have those jobs." And I was thinking, oh, you jerk. Listen, they're talking about possibly losing patients to Allegheny General. Well, if jobs are lost at UPMC, because there are more patients going to AGH, then those jobs are not lost. They'll just be moved over to AGH.
Right. Well, they don't want the competition. That's what it is.
They just don't want the competition. They're despicable.
Yeah, they want to stifle the competition. They want to change the laws of the state to enhance their profit business plan. That's all there is to it.
That's it.
And they'd rather pay for lawyers and lobbyists and legislatures than for medicine,
and
really.
Pricey advertising. You name me a nonprofit that spends what these guys spend on all of that kind of stuff. They are despicable. And again, I am not talking about their beleaguered employees. They're often underpaid employees. They're often intimidated employees. I am talking about that upper echelon. They are
the management.
despicable.
Yeah, I wonder if they're really doing anything against our mayor because he's the one who threw the knife at them.
I don't know.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past them, to tell you the truth.
Well, it's going to fall to Bill Peduto to pick up the knife and continue to deal with it. So
yeah, and I wonder where he stands on that.
Well, I'm sure he's. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah. Thank you.
Good talking to you.
Good talking to you, George. Bye. I got to get a break in here. When we come back, let's get into this electric stuff. I know it's not a sexy topic, but it is one that takes a lot of money out of our pocket. We do need electricity providers, each and every one of us. And don't you want to, I don't know, we'll all have to answer certain questions. You want the lowest price? Do you want the most green, environmentally, responsible choice? Is it possible those two things can come together? Blah, 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 blah. But let's have a little tutorial after the break.
Stick around for more with Lynn Cullen Live after this.
Pick up the all-new Pittsburgh City Paper today. Still the #1 source for weekend fun in the Burgh. Go online now at www.pghcitypaper.com to vote in the 2013 Best of Pittsburgh Readers Poll. And type in the promo code CPTSTIX for your chance to win Taylor Swift tickets. Vote now before it's too late. Pittsburgh City Paper, available at over 1,700 locations throughout Western Pennsylvania and on the web at pghcitypaper.com.
I don't believe it. My savings are gone.
Okay, think. Where'd you have them last?
I was home, then I spent them on that vacation in this tiny suit of armor. Now they're gone.
Weird.
Weird? Not really. Not saving now means no money later. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas on ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
Oh, I broke his little gauntlet.
Oh, no.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
Now, it's back to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com.
Yeah, that's what I was supposed to say. Okay, oh, here we are. Okay. Well, I didn't get Potter, but I got, it's somebody who works with him. Is his desk really clean?
It is now, yeah. It's kind of amazing.
Have you ever seen, did you see the action of him cleaning it?
I've seen little bits of it, yeah.
And what does that look like? Does he just sweep it all, or is he actually going through each one of those tapes?
I think he goes through some of it to some degree. There are some things worth saving there, other than just like back issues of the New York Times from 1996.
Oh God!
There are some useful things. You should have seen him at the old office. There was actually an avalanche that happened at our old office. You could hear it. You could hear it all the way down the hall. Like he had this stack of things that collapsed once, and people thought that like the building was falling down. No one was injured, fortunately.
It's unbelievable. I did take a picture of it once.
Good.
Because I thought nobody would believe me.
It should be documented.
It should be documented. So I do have one picture. It's not the greatest, just one from my cell phone. But the understanding is, have you seen him clean it before, so that it just then builds up again?
Yeah, it does. There's a good likelihood that it'll build. Although it's been fairly clean for several weeks now, so maybe he's turned over a new leaf.
Oh yeah, right. You want to put some money on it? He's trying. It's like somebody who loses a lot of weight and they know they're going to put it back on, but they're hanging it. They are really hanging in there for a little while, because I bet part of him actually enjoys seeing the desk.
There's a certain like element of personality that's attached to it, I think.
Yeah, that's right. And so his personality.
It's like part of his identity.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I'm also thinking that we maybe should we should get him on that reality show I've never seen.
Hoarders?
Yeah.
Oh.
Wouldn't he be sort of an interesting hoarder guest? Have they ever done one like that?
I'm probably as bad of a hoarder as he is, though. I mean, I keep smaller piles, but there's more of them.
But are they I don't see. He doesn't have piles.
No, I can find stuff. I have to say that for myself.
Okay.
But I'm bad at throwing things out, though.
You know what? It's interesting because you and your job is to take in a lot of information, to process it, and then to put it out in a neat, understandable, communicable form. And isn't that interesting that you're capable of that, but not the actual act of keeping
It's pretty classic,
organized.
though, like newsrooms. If you see photos of newsrooms, daily newspapers or whatever, I mean, we're all pack rats. Almost all of us hoard papers and don't throw them out. I might need that someday.
Well, that's true.
Press kits that you get from people or handouts or just other newspapers or copies of your own newspaper or whatever. I mean, I might need that someday.
I know the feeling. Although there is there's no doubt that Potter has so crossed over. I mean, there is no possible explanation for that. I don't even want to see the clean one. It would I don't know that I could interact with him as I always do.
Like he's a different person?
Yeah, it would creep me out, I think.
Who are you?
Yeah, who are you? What imposter has taken over you? Okay, so you, on the other hand, had this piece in the City Paper issue, which hit the streets today. And it's about a subject that makes my eyes. You often do subjects that make my eyes roll around in my head or roll back
in a good
my
way,
head.
though, right?
Yes, because it's stuff. It's stuff that's difficult for me. It's wonky. Yeah, you're right. It's wonky. Hard to get my head around, but always important, and I want to understand it. And I just feel like I'm buffeted by these forces that are squawking at me about this or that, and none of it makes any sense. So, we're talking about your electricity, how much it costs, from whence it comes. Explain this to me.
Yeah, okay. So the
This is all because of deregulation.
Deregulation, right. So starting about 2.5 years ago, the beginning of 2011, Pennsylvania, used to be in Pennsylvania that your utility, like if that was Duquesne Light, you just got your electricity from them. You didn't ask where it came from or how they made it or anything like that.
No,
right?
you just got
it. Just came from them. You paid them the bill, and that was it. That was your only option.
And I got news for you. 99% of the people still feel the same way.
Not true, because actually half of Duquesne Light customers have switched since then under deregulation.
Well, I'm one of them, but I don't know why I did.
Okay. Well, hopefully we can put some rationality to it.
Okay. So, switched what? I'm still getting my bill from Duquesne Light, so it just doesn't seem to make any sense.
So there's three parts to your electric bill, right? There's how the electricity is made, who supplies it, like what company supplies it. They make the electricity in the power plant, right?
Now, you were saying that before deregulation, Duquesne Light did all those things?
They didn't. They did have power plants in some cases. In some cases, they would just purchase electricity from other suppliers. Okay.
So there's the creating of the electricity,
which they call generation or supply.
Okay, generation.
Right, and then there's also transmission and distribution.
Okay, so
which is getting the electricity from the power plant to your outlet.
That's the transmission.
And distribution. Just call them the same thing to simplify it.
Yeah, that is. It's the same thing.
There's a distinction between them, but it's kind of irrelevant for our cases.
Okay.
So now with under deregulation, those can be split apart. You can basically hire one company to do your supplying or generation of electricity, while Duquesne Light, which is your default utility, maintains the transmission and distribution part. So somebody else runs the power plant, and you can say who you want to run the power plant or the wind farm or whatever. But Duquesne Light still owns all the transmission lines.
Yeah.
So all the electricity runs through those lines still.
So all the deregulation allows a consumer to do is then pick the generator. Who is creating?
And Duquesne Light or whoever your default your default utility is, which might be probably in Pittsburgh it's Duquesne Light, but in Philadelphia it might be Pico, or all these other ones. There's a dozen of them or more throughout the state. Some of them are very small. They keep billing you, but they bill you for the other company, like the other. You pay the other company who's doing the supplying through Duquesne Light, and they work it out on their end.
Okay.
Okay. So is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay.
How do we trust that Duquesne Light is doing the right thing with the pass-through of the? Well, I don't know.
They don't make money. It is a pass-through. They don't actually make money off it. They're
having to bill and do all that
right.
stuff.
Right. They're forbidden by the Utility Commission from making money through the pass-through. So if you switch from Duquesne Light, they don't lose any money because it's just a pass-through. They were never allowed to make money on electricity. They make money on the transmission and generation part. That's how they do their operating costs.
Okay.
But, okay, so...
I think.
All right.
All right. So, initially, you said this all started 2.5 years ago, and we started getting letters in the mail and stuff like that.
Yes.
Yeah. And kilowatt hours and my mind, but yeah, my mind shuts off. Okay. Help me through it.
Okay. Well, now you can pick who generates your electricity, which is good for a couple of reasons. It can, for a lot of people, the big thing is they want cheaper electricity. Duquesne Light might have been kind of expensive. And in fact, 2 years ago, when it started, Duquesne Light was one of the more expensive suppliers. They had this bundle of electricity that they had bought from other power plants or whatever, and it was costing, I think it was around 9.5 cents per kilowatt hour.
That's high.
At the time, it was high, yeah. And so these other ones would come in and undercut them because they had other electric deals. They were getting their electricity from other suppliers. However, they were getting it on the open market, basically, and it was cheaper to get it from other suppliers. Those were some of the people you were hearing from in the mail. First Energy, Direct Energy, who the other people
I probably signed up with one of them.
Would send you, right. And they would say, we're 50% cheaper than Duquesne Light, which many of them were. There's another factor here, too, which is the one I was emphasizing in my article in my Green Light environmental column in City Paper this week, which is that there are options to buy the electricity from people who make it with renewable energy, like wind power and solar power, because most of the electricity that's made in Pennsylvania now is made from either fossil fuels, which is coal, burning coal, or natural gas, or it's made from nuclear, and all of those have their environmental problems. Coal is usually considered the biggest environmental culprit, one, because the emissions from coal-fired power plants are really terrible. They create all this soot that gives people...
We have a call.
Oh, yeah.
Can you... maybe just the
Sure.
one side will work. Hello, caller. Go ahead.
Yeah, Lynn, it's really interesting that you're talking about this energy thing. I just went through something like this a couple months ago. Somebody come to the door to sell me cheaper energy, and I looked at it and I thought, well, I'll save a few bucks a year, so okay, I'll sign up for it. Then I get a letter. So I signed a contract. I get a letter from Duquesne Light saying, well, you have a contract with us, so it'll cost you $150 to get out of the contract.
No.
And I do the math, and I figured that that's 2 or 3 years savings. So I said, well, forget that. And, so I called the first company back, or the company that I had signed with, and I said, I want to cancel. They said, sure. I called Duquesne Light, and I said, well, I've canceled that contract. And they said, well, we've already canceled your contract, so we'll have to give you a new contract. I said, okay, fine. And the woman says, oh, my. She said, well, okay. She said, the best we can do is to give me a new contract at half a cent less than I was paying under my old contract with Duquesne Light. I said, sign me up.
What the heck happened, Bill?
Yeah, well, and it's like, why didn't you offer this to me before?
But
well, here's I can explain why Duquesne Light's because they lowered their rates just a couple months ago. I don't know when this all happened to you, but their prices not constantly, but frequently changes. Duquesne Lights does, or all the suppliers, because the price of electricity changes. Right now, they're generating more electricity from natural gas because of there's a glut of natural gas. So buying electricity on the open market for these suppliers is actually cheaper. So Duquesne Light's own price went from, in January or even as recently as like April of this year, it was 9.5 cents or so per kilowatt hour. Now it's like 6.5 cents per kilowatt hour. It dropped by almost 50%. So that might have happened from the last time you had signed your deal with Duquesne Light to the current one. What I should say is, and again, caller, I can't speak to your particular case because I don't know anything about the other supplier or anything, but Duquesne Light itself says be careful of people like coming to your door and saying, buy electricity from us. I'm just getting this image of a guy with a suitcase full of electricity wanting to sell it to you at the door, but that's not how it works. But be careful of that because it might be a scam of some kind, you know. There's people, Duquesne Light's gotten reports of people saying, this guy came to my door and said he's with Duquesne Light and he's trying to sell me this plan, but you know, you have to see their badges, their ID stuff. Do this stuff probably through the mail or online. It's probably a lot safer than with people going door to door. Also, I'm not aware of Duquesne Light having like some. I switched my electricity twice so far because I moved, so I had to do it twice, and there was no charge to do it from Duquesne Light or anybody else.
Right.
Some of the new plans that you sign on may have cancellation fees, but they have to tell you that up front. Right, it could be a $50 cancellation fee. The $150 fee sounds exorbitant and crazy, and I don't know if you want to hang on after if you feel like you were being ripped off.
Oh no, not at all. No,
okay.
This worked to my benefit.
Yeah, okay. All right.
But I was just surprised to get this letter from Duquesne Light saying, well, you're canceling your contract 2 months early, so I think my contract was going to be up in, or maybe it was 3 months early, July or something like that anyway, and then when she said, oh, well, we're going to reduce this, and if you say that they started reducing their rates like in February or March, I didn't see any of that.
No, they didn't. I mean, if you had, they started in, I think it kicked in April maybe, I'm sorry, in May or maybe June, Duquesne Light's rates getting lower. So if you had Duquesne Light before and you still have it, right now you're getting much lower rates than you were before then. I'm saying maybe your switch over, I don't know, I can't explain that because
the other thing is when you talk about people coming to the door, just this week on last Friday and then on Monday, we had people come to the door wanting to talk to us, and we said, no, thank you, we're satisfied with the way things are at.
Okay.
So they're coming to the doors. Where do you live?
Yeah.
Where do you live?
Trafford.
Huh. It's a hot spot for door-to-door electricity salesmen, I guess.
And you're right. People need to be very careful. I mean, the guy spent 45 minutes when I signed this other contract. He had the contract. I read it over. He was very explicit about there's no fees. You can cancel this at any time. And the company was very good. I called them up and I said I want to cancel. They said, okay, fine. Here's a cancellation number. You can go back to your old supplier. I mean, they were very helpful.
Okay.
But people do need to be
careful.
Careful.
Right. Well, I'm glad it worked out for you anyway.
Okay. So all's well that ends well. Hey, thanks for the call.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. So, you said 2 years ago there were 7 possible
something like that
options.
People that you could switch to.
Duquesne.
Yes.
Now, see, this starts making my eyes roll around.
Sure.
There are 34?
Something like that.
How are we supposed to do all the due diligence?
Well, the first thing you should know is there's a website. The Public Utility Commission, Pennsylvania's Public Utility Commission, has a website that you can go to and see all your options. And it's papowerswitch.com, I think. papowerswitch.com. If you Google PA Power Switch, you'll find it. So the way to winnow down your options, they let you sort the options by different ways, like for instance, by price, and they'll rearrange the images on screen that you get so you find the cheapest one first or whatever.
Okay, you know what?
Yes.
Let me get a break in here.
Okay.
And then when we come back, I want to talk to you about, Americans. We go for the cheapest price. That's what I was going to say to you. That's why we all shop at Walmart. Never been in one, by the way. But cheap price, and then you're going to suggest that there are other people for whom price is not as important as the environment. right? That's a big
Yes, but also be aware that prices fluctuate, but we can talk about that too.
Right,
Yeah.
all that. So, again, more on helping you make a reasoned choice about who the generator of your electricity will be. Bill O'Driscoll is the guest. He's got a piece in this week's City Paper out today on exactly this topic. We'll be back in just a minute.
More is on the way with Lynn Cullen Live.
Go to bergbargains.com for great deals on gift cards from your favorite local restaurants, bars, museums, attractions, and shows. Sign up for our weekly newsletter to hear about new deals first. bergbargains.com, Pittsburgh's best bargains. bergbargains.com.
Okay, the Urban Gardener, ladies and gentlemen. I got to try to head over there today. They have it all, and I planted a lot of my stuff, but some of it, didn't make it. Only the hardiest make it in my care. And so I sometimes later in the summer put new things in and round things out and fiddle with this and fiddle with that. And sometimes I just am so flummoxed I don't know what to do. In that case, the women from the Urban Gardener will come to your house and unflummox you, or certainly help to do so. They do it all. The Urban Gardener, it is urban. It's at 1901 Brighton Road, north side, right up the edge of the Mexican War Streets district. And believe me, anything you're going to want for your garden, you will find there, and include some surprises with that. Please go check it out. You can do it right at home, just going to their wonderful website at urbangardenerpgh.com. And when you go, do not forget to drop my name, because there's money in it for you. Yes, indeedy, a discount for saying Lynn Cullen. I'm going to see if that works for me, too.
The traditional light bulb, a groundbreaking invention in 1879. It's time we switch to longer-lasting Energy Star light bulbs. They're more efficient than the old bulbs, like a text message is more efficient than a carrier pigeon. And they cut down on our energy costs. Because in our own groundbreaking age, we deserve a light bulb that saves us some cash. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Once again, here's Lynn Cullen.
All righty, we're talking with Bill O'Driscoll, Pittsburgh City Paper. And we're talking about all those suppliers that give us electricity, and the fact that we now have choice. But how does one choose? Okay, so you go to this website and you look at it all, and you say, if you're looking for the cheapest, and you do sign up with that cheapest one, the fact is that rate could change, right, 2 days later. I mean, they're constantly fluctuating.
Not constantly for an individual company from day to day, depending on if they strike a new deal with whoever their, power plants are or whatever. It could change. And I should say that 2 years ago, when I was first looking into this, about 2 summers ago, the very cheapest supplier in the local market was somebody who was 100% wind. And it was just the way
and they were the cheapest.
They were the very cheapest for a period of months. They were the cheapest one you could get. But prices of wind fluctuate too because of various things that are too complicated to go into right now. But prices of energy generated from fossil fuels can fluctuate. From wind can fluctuate, obviously solar, any of these other things.
Okay, but natural gas, since we got a boom going here,
right,
those rates are down.
Right now, but there's people who are saying by next year they could be back up. So, for instance, Duquesne Light's current price drop is good through December. In other words, they just cut their rates. That's good through December. In January, they could go back up to something like they were before, somewhere in between. It's really hard to say. You can't really predict. You can.
Well, how often can you keep jumping around if you really want to ride herd on this?
You can do it as much as you like, except be aware that some of the plans that you'll sign up for do have cancellation fees. Okay. But you can sign up for 6 months, or you can sign up for a year or 2 years, or some cases even more. So you can if you think you have a decent plan, you can lock that in. You can lock that price in some cases. Other cases, there are variable prices, variable rates in the plans that you get. So you need to watch out for that. It is something that you need to look at. One way to simplify this, I would suggest, is if you're at all environmentally conscious, look at, of those 35, there's a half a dozen that have 100% renewable energy plans.
There's that many?
There's half a dozen, 6 or 7, yeah.
Okay.
And I have one of them right now.
And those are wind or solar?
They're mostly wind in Pennsylvania, because you also want to get regionally or locally generated energy if you can, because it benefits like the local economy and the local energy grid and stuff. You can trade. They trade these electricity like as far away as Texas or whatever. It's kind of boggles the mind, right? Because you're not, if you buy renewable energy.
You mean you could get wind energy that is, in fact, the wind from Texas?
Right, and of course, you're not actually getting those very electrons that are being generated from those windmills, but you're getting the credit for them. You're supporting the market for renewable energy that way, and there is 1 kilowatt hour being generated for every kilowatt hour that you pay for. There's people who watch that, like regulators who make sure that's happening.
So you're very environmentally conscious. So you, I would imagine, are always a person that would be looking for regional wind.
Regional renewable. And first, I should say my spiel is always that the most environmentally conscious electricity is the electricity you don't use in the first place.
That's true.
So people should be trying to reduce their usage, because any form of electricity generation has some environmental cost, right? Because we know even wind turbines, it takes a lot of energy to build and maintain these turbines. We know that they affect the landscape. We know that they can kill bats and things like that. So it's not like free electricity. It's much better than coal, say, but still, if you can reduce your electricity consumption through conservation or efficiency, you should be doing that. That's my spiel. That said, if you're looking for renewable energy, you want to get it regionally, like in the Pennsylvania, they call it the PJM, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland region, is what you're looking for ideally. And there are a lot. Pennsylvania is a pretty big wind-producing state. If you've driven out on the turnpike, heading out east around Somerset from Pittsburgh, you'll see the big turbines on the hill, on the mountains there. And there's quite a lot of wind energy being generated in Pennsylvania right now. In fact, it really boomed last year. So there's all this capacity, and they're looking for people to buy those electrons, that electricity. So there's a half a dozen of these companies that are selling it. Look at their prices. Right now, they're all more expensive than, say, Duquesne Light would be, or a lot of the other suppliers. But some of them are not that much more expensive. We could be talking about, on an average electricity bill, maybe like $13 a month more expensive right now. And of course, if you use less than the average amount of electricity, that'll go down. And the price of wind could go down. As I say, these things fluctuate. The first plan I got was cheaper than Duquesne Light. That was 2 years ago. The current one I have is slightly more expensive than Duquesne Light.
Okay, so this is constantly in flux. I'm wondering why our government does not give incentives for people to choose renewable and regional.
Sure. Well, that's a good reason. I mean, another good.
Why? You don't get a little push to go in that way.
Right. Well, another great question is, why is the government still subsidizing fossil fuels?
They are.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, for instance, like coal companies can get discount rates to mine for coal on public lands. In other words, they can lease that land at a below market rate. That's a subsidy for fossil fuel. There's these depletion allowance write-offs for oil companies. Basically, they get oil companies get billions, and they pay no taxes because of it. Many of them, like your, Exxon Mobil and whatever, they're getting these big tax breaks essentially to pollute the environment and to contribute to climate change. And it amounts to billions of dollars a year. So that would be my first question. It's like, well, that's not even. There are tax breaks actually for wind companies too, but they're peanuts compared to what the fossil fuel companies get. There's credits that companies can get for increasing the supply of wind energy, and that's good in my opinion, because it's a cleaner form of energy. But it's peanuts compared to the tax breaks that fossil fuel companies get.
Are you aware that in I think Germany, they've just mandated they're going to get totally off of fossil fuels really soon, and they're generating an incredible amount of the energy in Germany now through solar and wind. That's a government just saying, here's what we're doing.
Yeah, and it's especially remarkable in Germany because Germany, most of it gets no more sun than we do in Pittsburgh, and we're always saying here how little sun we get. But of course, you don't need full sun for a solar panel to generate electricity.
Right.
Any kind of light does it. So,
Right.
but yeah, you're right. There's a lot and a lot of the European countries in general have a lot more commitment to renewable energy than we do here.
Okay, so we should all. How often would we check? I mean, when the caller said something about my contract with Duquesne Light, I'm thinking contract. I didn't have. Do I have a contract with Duquesne Light?
If you didn't switch, you shouldn't have. In fact, even if you did, because they're the default supplier. In other words, if you have an electric bill.
Yeah.
And you haven't done anything, Duquesne Light is going to be supplying it. So I'm a little confused by that, I guess.
Yeah.
These other companies, for instance, I have one through a local nonprofit called Citizen Power, and they've teamed up with a wind energy company called Tri-Eagle, who buys electricity on the Pennsylvania market, and Citizen Power supplies it via that. That shows up on my Duquesne Light bill. It says your electricity is generated by Tri-Eagle, but I signed a contract with them, and that rolls over. I think I signed a year contract, and I just had to renew it, and I renewed it for a year. I could have done 6 months. I could have done a year. I could have done 2 years to lock in prices at varying levels. But if you sign up for one of these other companies who's not Duquesne Light, there will probably be a term of contract, and you may need to renew that periodically.
Okay, but you don't have to keep. I mean, it's not like I'm paying attention to any of that. They'll let you know.
They'll let you know. They notify you, right? But you should pay attention when they notify you because your contract with the alternate supplier might renew automatically if you don't pay attention, but it might renew at a higher rate. So you should. It's a little more you have to pay attention to than you would have a few years ago. It's true, but it's not really super complicated.
No, but it's all this stuff I don't want to have to trouble my pretty little head about. Why can't I just turn on a light switch?
Maybe there's an opportunity here for an entrepreneur somewhere who will rent out their services to manage your electricity for you.
Really, I just need a personal assistant to do all this kind of stuff.
An electricity planner.
Okay.
Like a wedding planner. They could be your electricity planner.
Well, I'll tell you, I now understand this more. And
Good.
That is a heck of a job you did.
More is better than less.
More is better than less. Not always.
No. Sometimes less is more. But not in this case.
And before we get all philosophical on you, I'll let you return to whatever it is you're scribbling about these days, and I thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Bill O Driscoll, ladies and gentlemen. And that's it for today's program. Tomorrow, just me again all by myself. Nobody wants to join me anymore. I don't know what I did. Sokolowski's in God knows where. Botswana? I don't know. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.